Good evening and thank you for joining us. Today is the International Day of Mourning for workers injured or killed on the job. There were a number of local events in recognition, including one that saw roses laid at the monument dedicated to those affected, honoring those who've been injured or died on the job. Dozens gathered for a ceremony recognizing the International Day of Mourning for workers killed or injured at work. It began with speeches at the First Wesley United Church from those directly affected by the challenges that come with workplace injuries or fatalities.
People are going to get killed, people are going to die just going to work, just trying to provide for their families.
That includes Teddy Bobrowski, who says a workplace injury more than 30 years ago has prevented him from ever being able to return to employment. He talks about why he'll never stop advocating for better supports.
We don't go to work to die. We don't go to work to get sick, and we don't go to work to get hurt. And it breaks my heart when I see children and I see spouses and they're crying, because their husband, their wife, their kids, their parents didn't come home.
After speeches and a moment of silence, the group walked to Patterson Park to lay roses at a monument dedicated to those killed or injured in the workplace. A recent Association of Workers' Compensation Boards of Canada release says there were nearly 1,000 workplace fatalities in the country in 2022 alone. While physical tragedies gain the most attention, mental health and the lasting effects are a growing concern.
Over 90% of the people that go to the compensation board with a mental illness from work are denied.
Steve Mantis with the District Injured Workers Support Group says they're advocating for this to be better recognized, calling the consequences of not doing so devastating.
Counted and accepted so that we can then have enough inertia to address these issues on a system-wide basis to prevent them from happening over and over and over again.
The Day of Mourning for workers killed or injured on the job is recognized by more than 100 countries around the world. There was also an event today to raise funds and awareness for workplace safety. Threads of Life Thunder Bay held its annual Steps for Life fundraiser walk, joining the hundreds taking place across the country in April and May. The event is the biggest fundraiser for Threads of Life, an organization that offers support and services to families affected by workplace tragedies. The annual event has seen some significant growth in Thunder Bay, with this year seeing a record turnout of over 150 walkers. The group also exceeded their fundraising goal, raising over $20,000. Steps for Life Planning Committee co-chair Micah says it's important to raise awareness about Threads of Life.
Because Threads of Life helps to support families who are affected by workplace tragedies, Threads of Life does not reach out to families who have been impacted by those workplace tragedies. People have to know that they exist in order to access their resources. They provide support and they provide some legal experience and legal help to families to help them navigate through the aftermath of a workplace tragedy.
Donations will be accepted until the end of May. More information about Threads of Life can be found online at threadsoflife.ca. The federal government says it's investing in a brighter future for Indigenous peoples with its 2024 budget. Jenna Sudds, the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, was at Lakehead University earlier this week to highlight the new measures meant to create jobs, unlock opportunities, and build more housing for Indigenous peoples.
Budget 2024 invests in the next steps in that path of reconciliation. We are continuing to prioritize our responsibility to help ensure that First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities have what is needed to grow and to succeed on their own terms.
One of the investments being made is the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program, which will offer up to $5 billion in loan guarantees to help Indigenous communities buy equity in and share the benefits of natural resource and energy projects. Another investment Sudds highlighted was $243 million to help increase access to post-secondary education for First Nations students through the Post-Secondary Student Support Program. Sudds says these are only a couple of the measures being taken as they continue walking down the path of reconciliation.
I think it's tremendously impactful. You know, we've heard firsthand from people across the country already. I know here in Thunder Bay through the Honourable Minister and Member Patty Haidu, who is such a fearless champion for this community, that these are investments that people have been asking us to make and that we are responding to.
Kiiwetinoong MPP Sol Mamakwa is taking issue with the big announcement about the plans to build a Honda battery plant, which would use critical minerals from Northern Ontario. The announcement was attended by Premier Doug Ford and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, but Mamakwa says the two governments still haven't gotten the green light from all First Nations in the region.
We cannot boast about having a full supply chain of EVs in Ontario without the free, prior informed consent of First Nations where the minerals are. Can this government confirm that you have the free, prior informed consent of all First Nations in the North for mining for EVs?
The member knows quite well that we have been, the Minister and the Premier have been working very closely with First Nations because we understand how important it is to unlock the resources of the North to power not only the economies of Northern Ontario, but to help empower the manufacturing might of Southern Ontario. That is why we are working very closely with First Nations partners in that area who have told us that they want to be partners in helping unlock these resources for all Ontarians and for First Nations communities.
The Red Rock Indian Band has a new chief. The previous chief, Marcus Hardy, was removed from office in March due to the alleged misuse of a band credit card. A by-election was held last Saturday, and Alan Odawa Jr. won the most votes. Odawa is better known as Muzzy in his community. He says he's fully committed to serving the First Nation on Lake Helen. There were 5 people running in the by-election. Odawa captured nearly 50% of the vote to win the position over the 4 other candidates. The married father of 2 says he remembers telling his elementary teacher that he wanted to be chief someday.
What did you want to do when you grew up? And all I said, like, when I grow up, I would want to be chief. So 40-some years later, I'm now chief of my First Nation. Looking forward to just continue on going forward, like what the past chiefs been doing and council. So been doing like a lot of positive work and all that, working with different companies and joint ventures.
The biggest project the band is currently involved in is the creation of a deep water port in the town of Red Rock, along with a potential lithium processing plant at the same location. A popular bargain store in Sioux Lookout is finally back open, more than 2 years after a large portion of the building's roof collapsed. The Red Apple store on Front Street has been closed since March of 2022. The roof and ceiling gave way about 1 hour before the business was scheduled to close for the night. There were 4 employees and no customers inside the store at the time, but thankfully no one was injured. The store's new manager, Peter Giddis, says the roof was completely replaced, and many other parts of the store are brand new as well. The grand reopening was held on April 12th, and Giddis says their customers are very happy to take a bite out of the popular bargain store once again.
Well, we're absolutely ecstatic to be back serving the community of Sioux Lookout. Red Apple was down for a short period of time due to some structural damage. When something like this happens, it's a hardship for the community. It's a real hardship, and I know that the Red Apple was missed tremendously. I've met a lot of people over the last week and a half, and I'm hearing extremely positive comments about the reopening of the Red Apple.
Once upon a time, Thunder Bay families were able to dress up in their best gala garb and meet their favorite princesses and fairies, all for a good cause. The 2nd annual Fort City Cadets Royal Ball happened today, with hundreds of residents coming out to support Cystic Fibrosis Canada. Jessica Clement tells us this tale.
Crowns and tiaras were sparkling on Saturday for the 2nd annual Royal Ball presented by the Fort City Cadets. Almost 200 young royals made their way to the Da Vinci Center, dressed in their finest clothing, eager to meet their favorite princesses and fairies. The event was packed with activities to make attendees feel like royalty, including a crown and wand making station, face painting, and dancing. We asked some princesses what their favorite part of the afternoon was.
Crown making. wand making. I'm excited to talk to the Jasmine and Belle here.
Anne Barbosa volunteers at the Royal Ball every year. She says the reactions from the kids is heartwarming to see.
The amount of children that have recognized me over the last few years and how excited they get to see me is amazing, and the fact that they just accept the magic for what it is at face value and having them have a great time is just amazing. Seeing the magic in their faces when they see all of the princesses, all of the princes, and all of the balloons and all the magic, that's what just makes everything worth it.
The event was held in support of Cystic Fibrosis Canada, a not-for-profit committed to finding a cure for cystic fibrosis. The Royal Ball didn't have a fundraising goal, but co-chair Deb Rosno notes they raised around $5,000 last year. She adds that along with raising funds, it's also nice to host an event geared towards kids.
I have a 7-year-old granddaughter in Halifax, and she's such a princess. And I was trying to find an event similar in Halifax, and there was none. So I'm just excited that we have something in Thunder Bay to offer this for the kids.
It's actually very gratifying to see the kids having fun and give them an opportunity to come out and have an event that's geared toward them.
More information about cystic fibrosis and how to donate can be found online at cysticfibrosis.ca. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
We're now joined by sports anchor Josh Morano, who I'd also call a princess here or there.
Oh, wow.
I think it's fitting.
Sure.
Sure,
why
but
not?
of course we're going to turn attention, as always, to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, it hasn't been the most magical run for the Maple Leafs. Other Canadian teams looking a little better. I like their chances.
Yeah, there's a couple teams right now. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the LA Kings.
Big time.
As we speak, the Vancouver Canucks and Nashville Predators, Winnipeg Jets, Colorado Avalanche also in action today. We'll have the highlights from their Game 4s when we come back.